Heather, thank you so much for waiting for so long. How are you?
I'm good, Mick. How are you?
I'm good. Now, you were a manager of a restaurant in Toronto for 2 years and a cafe in Cork for 2 years. You're HACCP qualified, which is the hygiene standards for food preparation. You've studied food science and nutrition and years of prep chef experience, but you were made redundant, and now it seems to get almost impossible to get work in Cork because of...
piercings, tattoos, coloured hair, your appearance, and I just wanted to highlight that I don't think that should matter anymore. Like, it is getting a bit more kind of, better than it was, because I remember years ago you'd never see anyone in like the retail shops with piercings or coloured hair, and you are now, but it's still, especially with restaurants. I know I heard last week that they were finding it very hard to get anyone, like chefs or waiting staff or anything like that, and I've been going for interviews and all that, and even before I went for an interview in a cafe sandwich bar in Cork that's well known, and she just saw my stuff, I took out all my other piercings, and she was like, there's no point in interviewing you with that. Do you still want me to talk to you? I was like, yes, please.
Well, I'm just looking at a picture of you here. You've got 4 piercings under your lip and just below your nose, another 1. Is that what you leave in all the time?
Well, I took them out for the interview that time, yeah. But yeah, that's what I have. You've
got a series of rings in your ear as well. I can just see a part of your ear in this picture. So it doesn't look to me to be overly... people call it body art, I suppose. I'm just thinking of Ed Sheeran. He uses his body as a landscape for art, and he says, however old I get, I don't care how bad I look with these things. All of my memories will be on me.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just a bit backwards in Ireland, because I lived in New Zealand in 2010, and people in banks there have tattoos, face tattoos, and that was totally acceptable. And when I lived in Toronto, I just remember how refreshing it was going for interviews and they weren't staring at my ear. That's the main thing. I have even took out all my other piercings and just left in the fresh air, and in Ireland, everywhere just stares at that, the whole time I'm talking. And then in Canada, they were looking at me, and I was actually like, oh my God, this is so weird. They're just talking to me like a normal person.
Why do you think there's a stigma attached to piercings, and to a certain extent, I suppose, to body art?
I think it's just the old traditional,
They must be a bit of a weirdo,
Ireland,
is it?
And criminals had tattoos and whatever, but it's so...
Yeah, the tattoos came from the naval, wasn't it? Mum or mother and love and all this thing, and, one on each of the fingers.
Yeah, but it's obviously different now, and that, people might think you sound amazing on paper, and then just by looking at you, you just know. I went for interviews and it went amazing and talked to them for ages on the phone, and then, during COVID, and then they're like, oh, you take off the mask, and then they're like, oh, we'll get back.
You seem to me to be a dedicated, a diligent, and above all, a qualified worker in the nutrition, food science and food delivery, right? And testament to that is you only took 1 sick day in 2014 when your knee swelled from a fly bite.
Yeah,
and so you're at your desk. You're turning up for work. You're turning up, for battle every day of the week, except that one day in 2014 over a number of years.
Yeah. And I rang her back later, and I was like, I can come in, but she was like, no, it's covered now. But even in Toronto, it was minimum 60-hour week, and it was me and my husband working, managing, and it was 60 to 70 hours that we were doing every week. And you only get 10 days off in the year over there, and we didn't get any of the bank holidays, and we never were sick there, and we were there for the 2 years, and we absolutely loved it, because you can go in and be yourself and get paid well for it,
What's a stretched ear, Heather?
It's just putting a bigger sized piece of jewellery in your ear.
To weigh it down, is it?
Well, you can leave a weight in it, or you can have a big tunnel in it. So mine is 30 mils now.
Wow.
But,
I never did get those huge hoop earrings. I just can imagine people getting it caught in something and pulling the air out of themselves, pumping with blood.
No, that's never happened.
So this manager person in 2013 thought your CV was unreal, and you were the first person she called because the CV was so good. And then she saw the stretched ear and literally laughed and said, "I can't hire you with that."
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's not a case of, it's dangerous being around food. Like, it's, you see people with earrings in restaurants or walking their managers, just a normal earring. This is literally like, stretched, so it's not going to fall out. And yeah, she said, I actually rang her back to say, I'm just wondering if there's any update because I want to stay in touch with everything. And she said, it's so funny because I put your CV on the top of everyone else's and I was just working back. And she was like, that's the same. And then as soon as she saw me, she just laughed and was like, just not any point talking to. I was like, okay.
Do you think she's projecting, even though you're HACCP qualified, do you think she's projecting an element of unhygienic appearance to her customers, perhaps?
No, like that, you see people with earrings and nose piercings and their hair down, with food and their hair not neatly tied up and all.
Can you move around there, Heather? I can't really hear you. Can you just move to a slightly different position if you don't mind?
Sorry.
That's much better, yeah.
You'd see people like with earrings or wearing a wedding ring or a necklace, or they're having their hair down or pieces of their hair down. These are all things I notice as well when I go in to eat anywhere. I'm like, oh my God, their hair is touching off everything. And like, that's fine because they look like, in quotation marks, normal. Mm. So like, I don't think there's anything got to do with that. Like, I, would go in wearing like a blazer and suit pants, and like I said, I've taken out my piercings and like I just can't really take out the stretched ear. And yeah, it's just like staying with that. So it's like, they dismiss you before you even are even talked to. And like, my husband had the same issue, and he like, has a sleeve of tattoos. And
I suppose anybody is within their rights to not offer you the job at interview stage. But what if you played the game a little and removed everything you could, right? Went in disguise almost, got the job, and then put them back in. Now they're on a sticky wicket because they can't fire you for wearing what you're wearing.
Yeah, but they'll just say to take them out, know. And like that, before when he started where he was working, he had no tattoos as in years ago. And he was just kind of slowly getting them. And then even when he was there, they were like, you have to wear a jumper all the time. And it could be like the middle of summer and they're like, you need to wear that because like, you don't want to scare the customers.
Yeah, and like, I'm seeing more and more people with tattoos in the hospitality industry, wherever you go in the world.
It should be like completely acceptable. And like that's the thing, like we've travelled and it's so normal everywhere else. And as I said, people are complaining that there's no one out there, and I sound amazing on paper to people, and then it's just they don't want coloured hair, they don't want visible tattoos, they don't want piercings. And like the thing is, you'd have a mask on nowadays as well, so I don't know why people are still making judgments on that when there's so many people qualified and have a huge background and they're covered in tattoos and piercings and whatever.
And in Canada, did you have endless amounts of work opportunities, or is it just here you're finding these problems?
Oh yeah, oh my God, like there was people offering me work when we went to eat out, like went to a Mexican restaurant. They saw that I was Irish and they were like, you could get a job here. I was like, I'm working somewhere else. And then we used to go to this jazz bar. The guy in there asked me and my husband if we would manage a bar for him in New York, and we never worked with him, and we were like, how do you know we're any good?
Because you're Irish, you're definitely going to be brilliant.
But he could see all our tattoos and piercings. We were going in there casually, and like our manager where we were in the restaurant wanted us to stay, but we just couldn't afford to get, you have to apply for the citizenship and all that kind of thing. And there was another Irish bar, and he had only met me, and he emailed me 2 years, like literally when we were leaving to go home, and he was like, Heather, are you still around? Just wondering if you're still available for work. And he was actually on a Gordon Ramsay show then. I was like kicking myself. I was like, I wish I worked there. But
I guess your appearance does send out messages. I mean, if you're athletic and you're fit looking, that gives someone the impression, yes, this guy or girl is disciplined. They put time into being fit and taking exercise.
I'm fit looking as well.
Yeah. if somebody is covered in body art and piercings, maybe it's giving out the impression that most employers don't want to get in this country anyway.
I know. That is what the story is. Obviously, there's a few places that are cool and that's grand, but like that, you don't really want to work somewhere that they're looking at you like you're different, you know?
Yeah. And do some places embrace the body art to project their cool image?
Yeah, I'd say these days anyway, definitely, like some of the more modern cafes and stuff that are independently owned, a lot of people would like have tattoos and wear whatever they want and they're cool and stuff. But it tends to be a lot of the chains or more traditional places.
Yeah. And are you still available for work, Heather?
I am. I'm doing my food science at the moment, and I've like a food blog, and I make vegan lip balms and I sell them in my goodness in town and at a few markets and different things, so I'm like staying busy the whole way throughout lockdown.
Vegan lip balm, that's a new one on me.
It's just, it doesn't have, beeswax, or it's not tested on animals, all that kind of thing.
And where can people support you there if they want to?
In my goodness, in the English market or on Neighbour Food as well. It's, vegan is the new black, so I've been doing that blog and I post every day since 2013, all my recipes, so I'm still...
Yeah, I've only recently come across the phenomenon that is Neighbour Food, and only recently became even more surprised that it's my old friend Jack Crotty who's at the head of that.
Yeah,
ex of the Rocket Man. And,
I know, brilliant work, amazing.
Brilliant altogether, and I know it's having a wonderful effect on healthy eating and on supporting local. So it essentially is your neighbourhood artisan foods or organic foods prepared market that happens once a week in each locality. I'm not sure. I know there's one in Passage. I know there's one in Carrigaline. There's one in Crosshaven, I think. And I know that Frank Hederman, I think, is the agent for Cove from Hederman Smoked Salmon. It's just the most wonderful idea. And young Jack, still young to me anyway, is just the epitome of entrepreneurial enterprise. He's absolutely brilliant. All the ideas he's had, and I know his dad very well. That's how old I am. And I think it would be great to have something like that on the north side as well, because I'm from the north side, and I feel like there's nothing that's always forgotten about as well. And I've actually done a survey recently just with people from Cork to see if they think the north side is forgotten about, and I think it'll be amazing. Well, here's a question for you, because this is something we tackled years ago on this programme. Whatever about body art and ears stretched and piercings, going against you when it comes to employment possibilities, would, for instance, having a north side address over a south side address go against you? Is that still in play, I wonder?
Definitely. When we were trying to find a house when we came back from Canada, everywhere asks you where you're from. And like that, me and Rob were chatting away, and then one time I was like, just don't say Mayfield anymore. I was like, just say, I don't know. And then he said, I'm from the north side, and I say Mayfield, and the woman just looked at her husband, and he was lovely, but the woman literally just looked at him, like a kind of side-eye thing, and we were like, there's another place we can't live in.
Yeah, the line's gone very bad, Heather. I could continue talking to you, but I find it very hard to hear you. Are you a chef by any chance as well?
Not a chef, but I did in Balmalu. I did a vegetarian cooking course in Canada, and I did lots of prep chefs, so I haven't grill chef, that kind of thing, but nothing like, not a 5-star restaurant. But
okay, we've had a text from Eat Street in Carrigaline from Kevin who says if the chef wants an interview, give her my number. I'm not sure if it's a good match now, but get in touch with. We'll give you Kevin's number just after the call here, okay? And we'll pass it on to you. Thanks a million, Heather.
Brilliant, thanks so much.
Thanks a million.
Neil Prendeville, the voice of Cork. Weekdays 9 to 12. Cork's Red FM. Red FM.